On a clear afternoon, Old Lady Water and the child of the village sat in the grass, looking out to the Onlanden. The sky was open and wide, and the land stretched out before them.
Did you travel far?
Not so far, you could say. I came down from the sky and up from the ground just upstream, and then made my way here. You?
The child gestured to the village visible in the distance.
I live over there in Rodevolde. I come here when the weather is nice to watch the birds. Where are you heading to?
My journey will take me to the Waddensee, but not yet. I'll linger here for a while longer.
Will you tell me a story? It would help pass the time, wouldn't it?
Water pondered this.
I'll tell you a story if you tell me one in return.
The child grinned.
Okay, deal.
Water closed her eyes for a moment, as if feeling the weight of time wash over her. Then she started to speak.
I'll tell you about a time when I was much younger. A time when I could not flow, when I could only move very, very slowly. I was a mass of ice hundreds of meters tall. I had to be patient. I could do nothing but wait to thaw. 130,000 years ago, I finally began to melt. I saw only then how powerful I was. The land shifted beneath me, forming ridges and valleys. I didn't know it then, but I was shaping the earth people like you would someday walk upon.
As Water spoke, the child's eyes widened, a flicker of awe on his face.
I can't even imagine it. Being so strong that you can shape the earth underneath you.
But the people do it too. They have for a long time. You promised to tell a story in return. Do you know about the people who first lived here?
We can't remember things so long ago like you do. We need to tell stories and read old books and dig in the ground to know about the past. But I can try. Once upon a time, in the Iron Age, people lived where Rodevolde is now. But they did not stay for very long. A bit more than 1,000 years ago, they settled there again. But the land was too wet. They started in the north and went towards the south, digging ditches and draining the ground so they could build houses and make their farms. Around 800 years ago, they built the Rodelvorder dike, mirroring the path of the Pijzerdiep. It became the only land route to the city. Everything else was moved by the water.
Water listened intently, nodding as the child spoke. Her eyes shone with recognition. Water remembered these things, not through words, but through feeling, through roots and rains and rivers.
I remember. I fed the plants that the people grew, so many together, traveling through their roots. It was so curious to me, these ditches and dikes. Before, I flowed when I wanted, I rose and fell, I flooded the land. I rested and formed the peat. Then, for the first time, I found myself led through new paths.
I heard of it from my father. The pit was important to the people. They dug it from the ground and used it for fire to keep themselves warm and cook food.
They used many things from the land.
Yeah, they hunted songbirds and ducks and moles and otters, all sorts of things. They fished too, catching eels and perch.
I've known many such creatures in my time, some that no longer roam this earth. I sustain them all. Some must drink, others live in the bogs and the streams. They travel through me, and I travel through them. What a feeling it is to feel the flutter of a fish's fin, the kick of a duck's webbed feet, the swish of an otter's tail.
The child looked at her with a new kind of respect, not just as a companion, but as something ancient and essential.
But please, tell me another story.
My grandmother told me that long ago the village had to move to the south because the land was sinking. People had to dig a pit for years, and Over time, the ground got wetter and softer. Water started creeping in, and buildings began to suffer. Even the old church near the cemetery started to crack and the walls shift. So people moved little by little to higher ground. They built a new school, a new church too. They kept some bricks from the old one. My dad has one at home. After they built the big mill, Voldzicht, it milled grain and oil, then they would send them to the city through skip slots. That one was leading to Pijzerdiep.
I have helped the people carry their things and themselves down that path for centuries.
I know that monks of St. Bernard's in Adwoord used it too. They sent peat and wood and their monastery bricks.
I remember. The boats were heavy, loaded with clay, but I carried them all the same.
The child's brow furrowed. A hint of something stirred in his voice, not anger, but frustration.
You said you've helped the people so much, but it wasn't easy living with you. People once lived in the Onlanden too, but you showed up more and more until they couldn't keep houses, then not even the farms. My ancestors were the ones that suffered. Why did you make it so difficult to us?
Water didn't answer right away. She looked out over the Onlanden, searching for the right words.
I don't see the world like people do. I must move and I must flow. I've made this land, I've traveled through it to the sea over and over again. But I subsided and moved when the humans tried to guide me, but it's not always so simple. I have my own way I must follow.
The child's shoulders sank. He hadn't meant to sound so harsh. He was only trying to understand.
It's not always easy being with the humans either. New things find their way to me, like pollutants which make it harder for me to sustain the life here. Sometimes even I am surprised by the new places I find myself in. A short time ago, I found myself in such a strange space. It had colorful walls and unusual objects. I had seen it before, this cheerful fortification, its tower tall and yellow, but I had never been inside.
Do you mean the Groningen Museum? I've heard about it from my family. The terrible flood of 1998. It filled the land and the houses and the city, even the museum. It was a really difficult time, and they realized the system to manage the water wasn't good enough anymore. That's why they decided to create the Onlanden here. I've only ever known it like this.
In the Onlanden, I can stop and rest and linger, seeping in the land before I must continue onwards. I can take up space, I need not rush, even when I come in strong from storms. I used to flow through farmland, and meadows where meadow birds made their homes. But they've mostly gone now, and new ones have come. Water birds like the great egret and the white-tailed eagle. They seem to like it here.
Yeah, people like it too. They come to walk, cycle, and watch the birds. That's what I came here for.
I must thank you for your stories and leave you in the company of the birds. My journey awaits. But worry not, I am here always, and I will return and return again. Farewell.
Thank you. Until next time.
The child waved Water goodbye as she slowly disappeared, her form dissolving into the grasses around them and into the streams beneath their feet.